James something, water magic, got kicked out of the apprentice program, then declared himself to be a full mage. No one listened, and the keepers have pulled him in a few times for petty stuff. That was how I saw his file. I frowned. I wonder what he's trying to do. Hermes waited. Wow, I said. They're using clubs. You know, I don't think they're trying to kill me at all. I think they just want to give me a good old-fashioned beating. I raised my eyebrows. Old school. Hermes tilted his head, then back again. Because they want to send a message, I'm guessing. I frowned as I tried to look through the futures in which my future self got beaten to a pulp, then shook my head. Well, whatever it is, these guys are amateur hour. Hermes opened his mouth to show his teeth. Yeah, I said. Hermes can't talk, but he and I understand each other pretty well. I'd have some help for this one. I put down the gatestone and headed for my room. Let's gear up. I took my armor out of the wardrobe and pulled it on. My armor is a suit of dark mesh with raised plates covering stationary areas, matte black and flexible. It looks serious, and it is. The reactive mesh isn't impenetrable, but it's very tough, and it responds to attacks, changing its shape to deflect a blow. The plates have grown and thickened over the years, adjusting to the shape of my body. I added my standard collection of items to my belt and pockets, and then descended one floor. My safe room is locked, warded with multiple effects, and lined with steel. I went through the locks and pulled open the metal door, then stepped inside. Hermes stayed out in the hallway, and I didn't blame him. While the Arcana Emporium's supposed to be a magic shop, the magical items I have on sale on the ground floor are strictly small potatoes. Weak wands and orbs that require a mage to wield them and don't do anything all that spectacular even then. Ambient focuses that can work on their own by drawing in local energy but have only the most limited of effects. Old accoutrements that have been used enough times to have accumulated a little resonance. But for every 20 or 30 items I get that are weak or faded, I pick up one that's genuinely dangerous. My safe room is where I keep them. The imbued items were on the left wall. A crocodile-hilted sword stood out, gleaming dully in the light, as did a small white and blue lacquered tube. I didn't go near either of them. Instead, I went to a tall cabinet in the far corner and opened it. Inside was a small but formidable arsenal. I tapped one finger to my lips and studied the choices. Mounted in pride of place at the center of the collection was a Heckler & Koch MP7. It's a nasty, compact little firearm the size of a submachine gun. I'd taken it off a guy called Garrick a few years ago. He hadn't come back to reclaim it, and in exchange I hadn't gone after him for trying to shoot me through the head with a sniper rifle, which seemed to me like a fair trade. Using it, I could probably kill all 3 men outside Arachne's lair in about 10 seconds. Overkill, I decided, and glanced briefly at the pair of handguns on the shelf underneath. One was my old 1911, another was a smaller caliber automatic that I'd acquired earlier this year at the expense of some guy whose name I'd never learned. They were less suited to extended combat than the MP7, but they'd get the job done. Overkill. I took down a sword from its mountings and half drew it from its sheath. Metal hissed against leather, and I turned the blade, watching it glint in the light. The sword was a jian, a little over 2 feet long. I'm familiar with most blades, but I generally prefer smaller ones. It smelt of oil and blood. I shook my head. Imagination. The blade was clean. Overkill, I said again, resheathed the blade and hung it back up. The next item I took up was a can of pepper spray. The stuff's illegal in the UK, but it's not hard to get if you know where to look. The pepper spray went back to be replaced by a quarterstaff. It was a dull grey in colour. To an observer it would look like steel. I held this one.